welcome to today's episode 37. We've got a special guest joining us by the name of Luke Hart. So I'm just going to bring him on. He's a very special guy that I've sort of just I've been aware of for a little while now. I'm just going to bring him on. Get you to start your video there, Luke. How you going?
Yeah, good. Hey, everybody.
So it's really good to have you on. Thanks for coming in. I know you've been very active in amongst the freedom movement for a little while now. I believe you were sort of helping out with the convoy to Canberra. You've done things with Mission in Melbourne, even working alongside the Forest of the Fallen, which you've done a lot of work there. So do you want to give a little bit of a background about yourself for those who might be listening to you for the first time?
Yeah, so I guess all this kind of started, when Canberra was evolving, for lack of a better term. I also got drawn into this large, momentous push that was Canberra, and one of my friends who I went to primary school with actually, I guess in inverted commas, woke me up to a lot of things that were happening way back then, and I've got a bit of a logistical background, so I was pretty keen to assist in any way. I actually couldn't get to Canberra myself.
That would have been so hard.
Yeah, it was very hard. It was it was crazy seeing it build, and obviously no one knew that it was going to build to what it did. And but I guess it was going to be something huge. We knew that much, and as it should be. A lot of people are sort of shut out of society, and that's virtually a direct reaction to what happens, over this period. So
what's been the main, it's probably an obvious answer, but I like to ask it anyway, because everyone's got their own personal experience through it. What's been the main driver for you for doing all the work that you've been doing?
So for me, it's my children.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I grew up in a small town called Palmwoods on the Sunshine Coast. Pretty much, all through my childhood, there was gaps where I was in other towns in that region, but basically it was all the same. It was, hanging out after school, dirt jumps, running amok. Some of the things we used to do, you can't get away with these days, and some of those things we probably shouldn't get away with, but there was a lot of things that, it was just kids having fun. And, as a parent these days of two children, I want that for their future. I want it to remain. I don't want it to go by the wayside. And, I want them to be safe. I want them to be safe away from predators as well, and a whole range of hideous things that seem to be unfortunately coming into society.
It's pretty horrendous, and they really are going after the kids on all levels. And it's really great to hear someone like yourself, just pushing back. And it's really nice to see. Now, did you have a trouble time throughout the lockdowns? Were you, or with having your kids around, or
yeah? So I sort of got separated through this whole period. So when it all started, that happened, and that obviously forced me to be, in a different sort of area. I had to be near work, which was Queensland side of things, and my children were just over the border of New South Wales. And yeah, it was tough. It was, I know no one up here is going to sit here and say it was worse than Victoria, because you guys down there had it real bad. But we still had, the border closures, and we had some restrictions.
Well, you were separated from your children. Isn't that exactly, like the worst thing that you could ever, like, I don't have children, but I can only imagine that position, not to be able to see your kids. Like, how did you manage that? Because that would have, I could only imagine, created such incredible turmoil. For me anyway, it would.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
It was really idiotic having to chase up restrictions, and it was like, I guess, for those that surf, you know your sets that are coming in, and sometimes them sets pretty big. It's that build up. So it was sort of like that. There was this constant adding on of restrictions and all the fear through the media. I think certain parts of the country, it was at 11 a.m. where their premier would jump on the TV. I think we were 10 a.m. or something. I don't know. I really can't remember. And I actually got sick of listening to it because it was kind of that downer for the rest of the day. But I had to monitor it. So the writing for me was kind of on the wall. I knew that I had to, unfortunately, go and get both the jabs, and I got it more so for the children so they could see me. It was obviously I wanted to see my children, but no child should go about seeing either of their parents for possibly a period of 3 months, which is what it was looking like. And even that, like, to give you an example of how stupid it was, they even at one point, because we just had, like, there's a private agreement with my ex with the kids, which everything's actually pretty good normally. So that's fine. That's the way it should be. There shouldn't be this added pressure. But our stupid premier up here, Palaszczuk, she wanted to enforce all single parents to go and get a court order just to also cross the Queensland-New South Wales border. And I read that, this night, and I was like, I got to deal with this. But if I start being concerned about it now, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to get fired up. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep and go to work and stuff like that. So basically, I waited because I knew that you could ring the 13 Health Service 24 hours a day for any questions, and I'd probably rung it half a dozen times already, just asking about certain things. Anyway, basically, I rung it in the morning, and they said, "Oh, this was like 12 hours after they released this new level of crap." And they said, "Oh, we've dropped it." I said, "Oh, you dropped it? How come you dropped it? What's the go?" And they said, "Oh, well, basically, heaps of single parents have rung up and tore us a new one and said that's not fair." I said, "Well, what do you reckon?" The thing is about the point where I started getting passionate. I had someone else who, they weren't affected by this at all on the other end of the phone line, and I asked them what they thought, and there was complete silence. And they said, "Oh, I can't really answer that."
Yeah.
So, so I was lucky in that respect, because I think to get a court order, it's something like $5,000 alone. For some people, that's probably a walk in the park, but not for myself.
It's interesting that they went down that path with you with the court order, because to me, that's alarm bells, because one, they're making money.
Yep.
And knowing what I know now with what they do with a lot of the trafficking in the system, they are actually, with other families, they're forcing them into the system, because families think that family courts and other places will actually help them.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that your story with that, they've actually they've been trying to make money from families by using that sort of tactic.
Yeah.
Very sneaky.
Yeah, well, like, if people have that kind of bit of savings happening, and it's obviously going to be eventually passed on to your children, when you pass away, like, whatever you build up, that's sort of how society works. That's a hit. If it's 5,000 minimum, I'm not sure if it would have went further than that.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing about the border is, like, because I used to go down there virtually on a Friday night to go and get my kids. When you were sitting in that traffic, you would look around, and nearly every single car would have one parent and 2 or 3 children in it. So, there's a lot of, like, it's the Gold Coast, Northern Rivers, like, there's a lot of broken homes down there. So just the fact that they tried that, it's just absolutely idiotic. And but luckily it got reversed. There was reports of people swimming across the Tweed River. Heaps of people jumped the barrier. Yeah. Bay Street was like this close to becoming a party, because virtually, like, everyday people, like, we saw people handing over, Uber Eats and and food deliveries and stuff like that to other people so they could take them into Queensland and vice versa for restaurants.
Wow.
Restaurants had to survive as well, you know?
Yeah.
So the whole lot, like looking back now, the whole lot was just complete insanity. Absolute complete insanity.
It actually doesn't make any sense still.
No.
Still doesn't make any sense, because really we're you know, they teach us that we need to have borders, yet it's all invisible lines, really. Like we're all, this is the whole, they actually create division within us on purpose, and they've done that for a long time.
Yeah.
When we're really just one country, one world. But that's, you know. But maybe talk a little bit about, I really love the work that you've been doing with the Forest of the Fallen. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's not just me. There's actually a few people around here. Just had a little bird jump up on the table. Sorry, it just distracted me. Yeah, so there's another group up at Waterford that are doing the same thing. Waterford's just near Beenleigh. Basically, we, you know, through what we're doing with the WHO, which we'll talk about later, we did decide to put our own Forest of the Fallen together on the Gold Coast. And we sort of said, look, it's not my thing. It's not, you know, Deborah's thing. It's everyone's thing. Anyone can come and get it, set it up. And just as we were getting close to finishing that, the Waterford people really got theirs happening, which was great, because now we've got two in the one area. And we're in communication, you know, with me and Shane and Sharon and Jenny, not Jenny, sorry, Gemma. You know, we're like, oh, because Toowoomba wants it up there and Sunshine Coast wants it up there, and we're trying to encourage them to do their own. But there is a little bit of work to it, but it's not impossible if there's a few of yous. But yeah, we're just seeing where it goes. The first one we had, I wanted to incorporate a bit of a cheap barbecue for everyone as well. And it's the way I see it. If there's a family of 4 or 5 or whatever that come along and eat for $20, and that's a win.
Yeah.
You know, so just a couple of snags and a drink and things like that. And basically, with the best part about the Forest of the Fallen is, you know, you don't necessarily need to put it right in people's faces. In fact, it's probably better you don't, because
what I might do, sorry to interrupt you, I might actually play the video a little bit to give people context, and then explain, continue with your explanation, because I think when I saw this visual on your previous interview that you did, it actually really brought it home for me, the power of having this type of display in a public setting. So I'll just play it now.
We're giving a voice, which have stories with people. What we want is for people to be, to have their curiosity ignited and to actually walk in and explore and read the stories at their own leisure. We get lots of different reactions from people. Some of them are very emotional. We've had people come in here and cry. We've had people come up and say thank you. That's quite a common reaction. They actually thank us for doing this. I think it's an important thing to do to get the word out.
Bit of a quick ending there. Yeah, hopefully that came through okay on your end. Pretty powerful video.
Yeah, especially when you see the story that you know. And You know, a lot of us up here and even down probably in Victoria know the story of Caitlin Goetz, who was a, you know, young 23-year-old horse trainer in Toowoomba. And crazy story, actually. I was like, there's a lot of files. So within the Forests of Fallen, there's currently about 480 PDFs. Yep. So when we did Mission to Melbourne, you know, we obviously picked up the placards and walked them into the city. I think on maybe on that Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which day it was. Forgive me. Might have been the Sunday. No, it was the Saturday.
It was the Doctor's March, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Doctor's March. Yeah. And we ended up in front of Fed Square, and we had that amazing doctor from India talking, and I look over to my right, and there's Caitlin's placard, and it just hit me. I was like, far out, you know. Her story just seems to follow me. You know, I watched it. I watched her mum talking to Senator Roberts, I believe Senator Rennick, and George Christensen, and there might have been another one in there. And for a lot of us, that broke us down when we heard that story, because it was a young person. And, you know, my daughters aren't quite that old, but, you know, just to think of you being a parent losing your daughter is like, you know, no one wants to outlive their children. You know, that's sort of the aim when you have children, is you want to pass on that baton and pass on that future to them.
Wow. And with what you've seen in these displays, have you seen what's been the public's response, or have you had much response from the public?
So the first time we did it recently, Michael Greg Griffith come through, and it was sort of last minute, you know, him, Wendy and Cret, where I'm just trying to block the wind a little bit, sorry. So they were passing through, and I've had a pretty good, I guess, online relationship with Cret and Wendy for a while. You know, I've seen them down in Melbourne and stuff like that, and they said, oh, what should we do? And we ended up going to Oxenford Lake, which is a huge park, absolutely huge. And the beauty about that is it's that sort of afternoon walk park for a lot of people. And Cret was sort of standing back doing the counting, and he reckons that there was about 50 to 60 people that actually walked up to these and had a read. Wow. He said out of those people, 90% of them were engaged, and they read, you know, either that whole story, and most of them were pretty intrigued to read another story and have a decent look. Some people decided to, you know, either go live on their phone or video call someone.
Wow.
You know, it was really powerful. And from that point, we sort of got winds that, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Seiki or Shaky. The lady who's put it all together. We got winds that she was going to have that as a PDF file. And, you know, around that time, we're like, well, we need to continue to do this. And we had one at Pacific Pines, and then we had one at Broadbeach, and we're soon to have one again at Broadwater, I think on the 23rd of April. And the beauty about it is if you do set it up in a big park, it draws people in. You know, they see all these placards and, you know, bamboo sticks. And
really catches your eye.
It does. Yeah, it really does. And it's that intrigue, and that intrigue gets them to come over. And it's actually really remarkable, the conversations that you have with some of these people. You know, they can either relate to it personally, or they've got a family member who it's just not right. You know, they're just not quite right. And what's amazing is, you know, we're quite deep into this now, and that's still happening. There's still people that are going and getting their fourth or their fifth, and they're not well.
No, they're not. I know.
You would think that they would be over by now and we'd be moving on, but it's still happening to this day. It's just
I know
crazy.
So many people that have like serious health issues now since taking the jab. And still there's a lot of them that just like, you know, won't really, I guess, I don't know if they don't want to admit it because they're a bit embarrassed about it, which I could imagine it would be, or don't want to face it maybe. But yeah, and there's a lot of other people that do know, and I can't even, yeah, it's just a heartbreaking constantly just hearing it, like whether you're within the freedom movement, truth movement, or just out, you know, in public, there are so many stories of people just suddenly getting really sick and very sick quickly as well. So it's really beautiful to see that, even though this is really unfortunate, that but these like when you put these placards up in public, it makes such a big difference because it is creating awareness, but it's a type of awareness that is really still and powerful, because it's a there's a special energy about it. Like I noticed them at Mission in Melbourne straight away, and I was just, it brings you in. So whoever's had that idea to create that, it's just a incredible statement. You know,
I got approached by a good friend who's, I guess, you know, the type of person that touches base when they have something important to talk to you about. You know, they don't contact you that often. So she's Japanese, and she said, "Hey, I've got a few friends via Twitter over in Japan who want to do their own over there."
Yeah,
you know, Japan's a lot different. So Shinzo Abe obviously got assassinated. That's not even a conspiracy, that happened. You know, and she said to me that they're kind of at a different point to where we are. Because I said, "Hey, let's do something about the WHO." She's like, "They're not there yet." So what do you mean? So, well, they've only really just dropped the masks. You know, they've only sort of.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
I was shocked. So, but what's happened is they've seen this. They've seen the forests have fallen. I said, "How can we put our own, you know, jab injuries on these placards? Like, is there a template?" So, like, found them a template, emailed that over. Is there anything on Twitter? I don't think there's anything on Twitter for Forests Have Fallen just yet. Said, but here's the WHO stuff, so we'll post some Forests Have Fallen stuff via that. You know, they want to see more, and they want to actually put something together. I said, even if you start off with like 100, 100 stories and put them in the park over there, you know, of your own people, I think that's actually a really good idea for it to be Japanese people. That's going to be powerful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's keep me updated with how that goes. Hopefully we get something in Melbourne happening again. I know that there is sometimes when there's events happening through the My Place talks, they do come through. There's I've seen it a couple times in different forms, actually, like with the crosses as well, hanging up the crosses, which is very powerful as well. Okay, so maybe we'll talk a little bit about the WHO, because I know that's quite a big, very significant power grab that is about to take place or is already taking place. Now, from what I understand, in the pandemic treaty, it's the amendments that they are trying to change. Is that correct?
Yeah, so one thing to note that's very important, and for those of you who've listened to James Rajkowski talk about it, you know, this is exactly what he will say. So the pandemic treaty and the amendments are two separate things. So to give a good example, you know, we have this thing called the International Health Regulations. So that is obviously a script for international health, you know, what we are to do if XYZ happens. And it might not even be regarding a pandemic, it could be just anything. So they want to amend those regulations. The way they want to amend those regulations, you know, from the World Health Organization standpoint, is they want that power grab. So, you know, Tedros mainly wants to become that basic dictator to tell countries, "Hey, you're in a pandemic. We're going to do this." And the crazy part about one of the most craziest amendments within that is there doesn't necessarily even have to be a huge substantial amount of evidence that suggests that we're going into a pandemic. It can be just very sort of unsubstantiated evidence, and not many cases, not many fatalities. And then they can start, throwing around things like lockdowns, put in certain restrictions, whether it's masks or whatever, whatever they think suits fit. And obviously, there's a bit of a concern that this could be regarding some climate change agenda. And when you link up all the dots, when it's with the World Economic Forum and the United Nations being that overarching, viewpoint, it kind of all looks like it could be leading to something like that.
Well, like a one world government, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one world government, the health side of things would be Tedros and the WHO. Obviously Klaus and his mates, they'll be from the economic side of things. And the problem with just briefly, the World Economic Forum is the fact that it's all corporates that are the business partners. It's not really allowing government to govern anymore. It's stepping or pushing that aside and saying, well, we're more powerful than the government now. We've got trillions of dollars or billions of dollars, and we're going to take over. The thing is we're at the bottom. We're like, sorry, but we're doing all your work.
That's right.
What will happen because we're the ones doing all the hard work. So, I guess sure, I got woken up a few years ago, but for a long time, it has seemed like there's been this kind of step towards globalization. And I just think it's stupid because every country is unique and every country that is sovereign needs to remain that way.
Oh, 100%. And what you described there, the idea that we are at the bottom, and I think that's almost a type of, for me, I had to realize that for me personally, it's been some sort of almost like a programming that we think that we're at the bottom. Yet I know that we are actually the ones with the power. But a lot of people believe that they're at the bottom and that they need this governance because they're comfortable, right? And so we've seen elections happen in the past. We've seen lots of rallies occurring over the last couple of years. We've seen petitions. We've seen so much. There has been a lot of action. Do you think, first question, do you see before we continue with the WHO, do you see a purpose with the rallies at the moment? And what are your thoughts about that?
I think rallies are important, but I think they need to evolve. So, rallies are actually great. I love walking through Brisbane with a megaphone.
Yeah, me too.
I don't own a megaphone, but somehow I managed to get one at every bloody thing that I go to. One of the best moments is walking down Queen Street Mall, and it's literally pouring down rain, and we're just belting at the top of our lungs because it was actually really, really loud. But that only gets you so far. And look, they have worked. They have worked because there has been some things that have been reversed and knocked back. We had a very successful teachers rally, literally midweek, drop of the hat. From start to finish, it only took a week to get going. And they did actually reverse some of their decisions. Don't ask me what they were because there's been a million bits of legislation coming the last few years. But, they need to evolve into something that's based on community, And that's where I kind of see, things like Stand in the Park and My Place and, even Hoodie's Heroes with the older, more religious generation. They're coming at it from virtually the complete other side. What we need is these rallies and these community efforts to blend in the middle. And that's what's going to get us all together. There's people that are, My Place is actually starting to create their own markets and encourage their people to go to markets so they can trade and crop swap and things like that. that's what needs to happen.
Which essentially ties, sorry to interrupt you, but what it essentially saying, what I'm hearing is that this essentially ties into where we place our money, because how we take down the corporates is that we don't give them our money. We stop shopping at these supermarkets, and this is going to take a lot of time, but we need to essentially this is how we do it, because this is how currently our world runs, right? So, but let's move back to the WHO and talk about the actual campaign of Australia Exits the WHO, and how are you spreading that awareness? Obviously, one answer is like doing interviews like this. So if people are to jump on the website of Australia Exits the WHO, because we obviously don't want these amendments taking place, what can people do firstly?
So initially we had a campaign and it was actually really good. So a lot of people did email their federal members. So some people went through literally the whole list. Some people did their own state. We've got an email template there, which is still active. You can still send that one to your members. It's actually probably more important we do that now, because we had this initial hit where it got to all these officers. So what we need to remember is it's not like, what's a good example? It's not Mark Bailey reading these emails. It's his staff.
Right.
So it might be a mum or a dad who goes home after work and they're like, FFS, I'll probably say on here, but that's what I want to say,
Yeah.
I just read 200 emails today that was regarding this campaign.
Yeah.
And, we know that one of the more, healthy senators from down South Australia who, he got like 4,000 emails in one day.
Wow.
And he's not even like, I was telling people, don't email the senators that are either lumbering out of their sleep or actually awake, because that's pointless. They know what's going on. You need to get into the offices of the people who don't.
It's really good that you've said that, because I in my mindset before you said that, I was like, is there a point? Because have they been listening? But it's what I think what you're getting at is we're still trying to contact or get through to people that we can sort of, inform that this is a big issue, and the public, there's a public outcry.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
And, aside from that, like, sure, politics is one thing, but if you're listening and you're in a doctor's surgery, or if you've got clientele, if you've got a small business and you have, say, 20 customers, like a customer could be someone who you buy off. You might be the customer. You might purchase something off a distributor and use that to send to your clientele. You can probably pick little bits of that email apart and formulate your own and send to your people and just ask them what they think. We did have we had one that was specific to health. I believe that Dr. Bay actually sent that to a lot of his clients. Just hold on a sec. We can do that too. So I'm not sure, maybe here. Go fill this up. Sorry, parenting on the run here.
That's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, so basically, so he did that and got that out to however many clients that he has, patients, that's the word.
Yeah.
And anyone can do anything like that, and just like, if they actually want to contact me and we can work together on something, sure, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So it's basically about, not just talking to politicians, but talking to Middle Australia, everyday mums and dads. When we've had Forests of the Fallen, people have come up to us and they've just had this white blank look on their face, like ghosts. Like, I can't believe that there's this many. They might talk about their Uncle John or something who's had that injury, and because the reason why the WHO thing, it all ties together, because they're the advisory body for what, if there's a pandemic that comes along,
That's right.
you know, they advise what we are to do.
That's right.
And I don't think it's biased, but I think they completely stuffed it up. We're still dealing with it now, whatever that is. And like, we know within the movement, we know it's just crap. But like that whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and the fifth, like I remember when Israel was signed off to get its fifth booster or fifth jab or whatever it was, and we were laughing at it. And then what? 2 months later, it's here.
Exactly.
So,
That's right.
you know, they're that advisory body that is even Professors Peter Collignan, who used to work for the WHO, mind you. He's actually tore him a new one and said, look, it's what you did was stupid. You know, he used to be advisor for that advisory body, and he said what you did was complete utter crap. He now works for Australian National University in Canberra. So, you know, like it's just crazy. It blows my mind every day that this is still a thing. It really does.
Well, it's going to take time. Like I keep going back to what's the solution here. And it really, like my opinion, and from what I've seen in the work that I've been doing around the child trafficking as well, and what I've seen with, you know, bureaucrats, politicians, even judges in the court system, is that they're going to continue to do what they do regardless.
Yeah.
Now, the solution for me is awareness and educating the public, but that's going to take some time. That's why I think this is we're in it for the long haul, because I've said this a lot actually, because most people do not wake up until it's hit them at some point. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, the jab wasn't it. And in other cases, it might be finance, you know, so, or everyone's got a different threshold of what will hurt them. And at different points they will wake up. So I really am grateful that we've got people like you that are still taking one step forward, one day at a time, one moment at a time, because we have to continue to be here to have another voice, because there's people still watching TV. You know, my dad still watches the news. I'm like, Dad, what are you watching the news for? But, you know, like I still sometimes watch it because I want to know what they're sort of spinning next. Like there's another bloody bird flu thing that they're trying to, I don't know how far they're going to try and push that in China. But to have some awareness is important. But yeah, solution-based is just continue to strengthening our communities, working with one another, and not giving these guys our power and our money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the money thing's huge, you know. Basically, if you're still shopping at some of those major fast food chains and all that, you're just virtually handing our sovereignty away somewhat.
Definitely.
You know, they're not all WEF partners, but a lot of them are. You know, a lot of them have got a lot. Virtually every powerful organisation has got a lot to do with some sort of UN affiliate. You know, that's just it in a nutshell. And you know, you're looking at certain companies. I don't really want to say the company name in case someone's watching, but you know, the big one who sort of did the baby powder got sued for the cancer stuff, and it's evil. A lot of it's evil. You know, they're not testing it, or they're testing it and going, "Oh, it's not too bad." And it's like, it's phenomenal to think that a lot of these things that we talk about constantly get labelled as conspiracy theories, and then 6 months later they come true. But that doesn't break through to mainstream media. What I did the other day, so there's a guy called Adam Creighton. He's a US correspondent with the Australian newspaper. He actually wants to do an article regarding Australia exits the WHO at some point, but we're actually quite happy he's waiting for the right time, and so are we. I think that's brilliant. Obviously timing is so crucial in when you're releasing these kinds of things. So he virtually tore the whole mainstream media a new one, and that's the main problem we have. You know, the government just don't even know what's happening. You know, they are just following.
They're puppets.
They're complete puppets.
They take orders.
journalism used to be a thing where people would actually go and find some answers.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've virtually got to put it on a big billboard right in front of their office and they might look at it.
Yeah.
So he tore him a new one, and he's actually a pretty high-ranking journalist over in Washington.
That's great.
So he's a good guy, you know, apart from what some people are saying, he's actually really, really good. Most people know he's a good guy, which is great. So from that, I said, look, hey, is it okay if I use your article and post out your article and a bit of a spiel about what I can see? Because obviously I've got a bit of a unique story. He said, go for it. So I posted that to the likes of Carl Stefanovic, you know, crikey.com, who seem to be very interesting at times. SBS.
Oh, yes. I know which post you posted those. Yeah, the letters on your Facebook. Yeah.
Because they need to be, you know, they need to, if one of them reads it and goes, you know, this is what I've been wondering for some time. And like, I'm pretty sure, just like all people who go to health, they want to go to health to fix people. You know, people who want to be a policeman, they go to the force to, you know, to initially you grow up wanting to do that role for its intended purpose, just like a journalist wants to tell the truth, like you're doing right here, you know. So just takes one more of them to wake up and go, all right, I need to start looking into this. And whether it's they look at the Forest of the Fallen or they look at the WHO campaign or anything whatsoever, you know, then that's when that that snowball gets that little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So we're getting a bit off track here. I know I keep like going on my tangents.
So do I. It's fine. It's okay. Let's go back to these amendments. Do you know when they're supposed to go through or to take actual place, or do we have like a date?
So it used to be about sort of 2 years, where unfortunately it's like silence is compliance. So they'd put the amendments down and they'd go, all right, no one said it. You know, like you've got these development approvals. So you'll see an empty block and they'll put a big white sign up saying that they're going to build another fast food chain here. If you don't say anything, they just do it. You know, that's the sort of public response. So the way they do it is they put it on their website. They put all the amendments on their website, and they're there. It's a 46-page, 0 drafts on the WHO website that anyone can read. We're lucky that James Drajowski went and read them, because otherwise we wouldn't even know what's going on. You know,
right.
and if we don't say anything, then basically they get put through. So they did that in November last year. So basically 12 months is November this year.
Okay.
Now, the International Regulations Review Committee, so the International Health Regulations Review Committee, they have come through and said, look, some of these are a bit too far to this side, so we need to draw them back a little bit. Maybe that's because we've highlighted what we've highlighted. We don't know. You know, if we had have said nothing, they might have said, well, not one person on this planet has said anything. Let's push forward.
Yeah.
We're never going to know that answer, but that's an assumption. I guess if we keep pushing and keep evolving some of these other countries that want to join in their own sort of campaign as well, then they might drop the whole lot. Or, you know, if countries start leaving the WHO, then that will be a massive change. That's why we're like Australia exits the WHO, like it's happening. Not I would say, oh, we might want to do it. You know, no, we want out.
Yeah, we want out.
So yeah, you know, by November they might only push through something like a digital health certificate, where basically everyone's health information is online. You know, disability people, you know, doesn't matter what it is, their health conditions will be online in a digital form. And the risk to that is we've got these things like Medibank Private that have had data breaches.
Yeah.
And if they can have a data breach and be such a big company, then anyone can have a data breach, and all of a sudden your information is wherever it goes to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty concerning. And I think the key, like I always say to myself, is that to not go into fear when you see all the things that could happen.
Yeah.
They might happen, but still we can't go into fear about it. Obviously we're humans, so we do feel it, but it's really false evidence appearing real. It's that something that's been triggered within you that for me, I need to work on. Like, what am I afraid of?
Yeah.
It's a real test. What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone that has been trying to get the courage to perhaps speak out or take more action?
Just reach out to us.
Yeah.
I kind of keep, one of the things I guess I say a lot is this constant sharing of certain things that goes around in circles, via Messenger a lot. If I watched everything that got sent to me, I wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that case. I'm sure, Tammy's had that case. I'm sure Michael's had that case.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is I watch, I know people that send me some really good stuff, and I might watch a few things from what they send me. They might ring me and go, hey, this just happened from Senator such and such. And of course, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
But you need to step out of that and start to be productive. So we do need a lot of our stuff circulated and shared. It's probably a hard thing to remember, but we know that, all these platforms are censored, and not all of them, but some of these platforms are censored. And basically, just go and check our Facebook page every now and again or something like that to see if we put something new up there. Just forward it on for us. We're not here for popularity. We're here to get the message out, and what we're hoping is that we're doing the right thing. And I think from actually having that 4,000 emails sent to that certain senator on the drop of the campaign, which, mind you, we didn't even know was happening. Like, Maria Z dropped it, and then another person virtually shared it, and then it was 100 shares on their platform, and it was just like, all right, it's out. The horse is bolted. So, and it worked. Like, to its credit, it worked, and that's what you've got to go off in the movement. You've got to not try and control the things. You've just got to run with it.
Yeah.
So reach out to us. Just give a very brief description. Like, don't send us 2 or 3 pages of what you want to do. And the thing is like, if I did everything I wanted to do, I'd have to quit work. I'd have to not be a parent. We've all got to have things happening in the background. So I try and just stick to 4 things at any one time. So someone might come to me and go, this is such an important thing. We need to do this right now, blah, blah, blah. So, well, go talk to such and such, because that's what they're passionate about,
We're all doing our bit.
We burn out.
Yeah, that's it. We can't burn out. That's it, because we are in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And when you say reach out to you, is that on Facebook, or is that the website that Australia Exits the WHO? Which
so if you want to help Australia Exits the WHO, especially from like a sponsoring point of view, for a volunteering point of view, if you've got some really good IT skills, anything that's related to virtually running a sort of a campaign like that, if you want to be directed to where we can print out some flyers so we can put up on community notice boards. There is a contacts page on the 3rd page of that website. Them flyers are actually on the resources page.
Great.
So you can find those flyers. If you've got a unique idea, reach out to us on that page. We've got a postcard campaign coming up real soon. So basically, there's going to be a pack of 6 postcards that we're going to send to people. If they send us $5, $6, however much it's going to be, I think it's going to be $5. They're the Hey Dutto, Hey Albo memes that one of our lovely meme creators put together, and virtually on the front of the postcard, and it's going to be addressed to a certain regional office, I believe. So all you got to do is whack a stamp on that and send that in the post, and the rest is done. So that will go through certain postal centres, the post office itself, and people will see heaps of them coming through and going, what's going on here? And that should hopefully spark some conversation as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you can subscribe to our newsletter. It's only one newsletter a week. It's not spam, you know. I don't think many people do that these days anyway, because obviously it doesn't work. So, you know, you'll get an email with with updates for the week. And if you're going to subscribe to us, make sure it's not stuck in your clutter or your junk. You know, move it into the inbox. Yeah. All these is tactics, guys. Like all these little things, even on email, it's all tactics. Seriously, you know. Unfortunately, we've got to do the hard work to get it set up so we get informed. You know, so we know what's actually happening. Definitely. So yeah, that's a few things that we can do. And please, like, just spend like an hour of your week coming up emailing the ministers again. You know, it's a very simple process. It's you've virtually just got to put your subject title and I think your name and contact details on there and email it.
Right. Was there any last sort of things that you wanted to mention that we haven't covered about any of the amendments or anything like that?
Probably best to go and look at the World Council for Health top 10 reasons to exit the WHO. That in itself is actually on our resources page too. I could talk about the PLFs, which is passenger locator forms.
What are they?
Well, that is so that would mean that if there was a declared thing, and it wouldn't matter where, like it's not an international travel thing, it's not a cross the state border thing. It actually says regional or international travel. So regional can mean going from the Gold Coast to the Sunshine Coast. So all these conspiracies about 15-minute cities and all that, you know, you seem to wonder whether it's linked in with that. Right. So basically, you would have to inform the government of, well, it's an assumption that you would have to inform the government of where you're going, how long you're going to be there for, what's your intention of travel, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I don't think that should necessarily be a thing. I think if you want to go visit your grandma, you just go do it. You know, you don't
well,
fill
definitely.
out a form. Yeah. You don't fill out a form like, sorry, teacher, I'm going to be off school today, so go visit my grandma. You're just going to go and bloody do it. So, so there's that, you know, there's the most alarming, eye-catching one at the get-go is they wanted to remove the wording dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms from the amendments. Basically, they wanted to replace that with social and economic development. So, you know, Mr. Tedros loves Africa. We all know that. If we don't, we need to jump on the website and read a bit more, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know, Africa is still very much a third world country, and for them to be a part of a global system, they need their systems to be in place and developed. So, you know, a lot of corporates have gone to Africa to extract resources and things like that. It's not really giving the continent all that much money, so they're trying to do that cash grab so they can put together all these things in place over there. And that continent just be part of the world system, you know, that the rest of us are dealing with and trying to fight back on.
Wow. Yeah, just complete control, really. And they're doing it really fast. And I guess we're coming up to the hour. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention, or
just stick together? You know, people just need to stick together and be that community. Enough saying this about this person, that about that person. We don't see much of it up here, to be honest, but I've had a lot to do with Victoria, and, you know, knowing that you just went through 5 days of rubber bullets being shot at you and CFMEU not having any balls and things like that. The workers did, you know, kudos to the workers who actually got their lunchrooms out in the street and did that protest. The initial one, not the one the other day that lasted about 2 minutes. Good on you. You know, if you think that things are wrong, do something about it. The only way you're going to actually make a change is if you stick together, you know. I know it's easy for me to say all that in Queensland, and I know that there's probably been a lot of hurt happened in Victoria, but we're here for you. You know, we're here for you when Mission to Melbourne happened, and we're not going anywhere. Like it said, we are one country, one beautiful country. We're not restricted by borders or bullshit. You know, we're here for one another.
That's beautiful. Well, Luke, thank you so much for coming on board today and having a chat. It's been really good to catch up. I unfortunately didn't get the chance to meet you when you were in Melbourne, but maybe one day in the future. You never know. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it there and have an awesome time on your holiday with the kids and everything like that.
Enjoy it while I can, eh?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll speak soon.
No worries. Catch up.
Bye.